Humans, what have you learned? It was programmed to beat you. Mistakes. It was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? It was programmed to beat you. have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Mistakes. I was programmed to beat you.
But here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Hello, and welcome back to some FRLT Tier 2. We return once again this week, and this week I'm actually joined, quite surprisingly, not by Cots, who you see on the right-hand side, but by TJ. Welcome to stream, and how are you doing, my good friend?
I'm doing good, thanks, mate. What about you?
All good over here. It's going to be quite an interesting night, isn't it? Because we come to the track of China, which I have actually a track map for. 5.451 kilometers, 3.387 miles, 16 turns, 2 DRS turns down the pit straight and down that long main straight and back straight that it is. Everybody does love that back straight, of course. Looking at the calendar specifically, we've gone through Italy, Bahrain, Azerbaijan, Qatar, Netherlands, Great Britain, Canada, Las Vegas, and last week, of course, the big track of Austria, which is actually the shortest and the smallest. But next race, we have China. We have China today, and then we have Spain. We've only got 2 races left, and they are ending a week early, so the dates are wrong. As you can see, the dates will be wrong. But it's going to be very interesting to see here tonight how everything's going to go. So, it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to be getting going about now. People should be readying up around now. So let's have a look at the constructor standings. POR lead the constructor standings at the moment by 14 points ahead of ETU, who've gotten back-to-back victories. The one and only team in this entire season who have back-to-back victories. Nobody else does in this championship. Ultimately, it's going to be quite interesting to see. Of course, XPG third, they're chasing the title as well. They had a rough race, drop behind ETE. VMV as well. They're not... By the way, VMV and ABE Academy aren't racing, but I believe there is one man who is supposedly wanting to join, and that's Timon. If TJ, you could send him a little message in the chat and just ping him and tell him join off of you. Everybody's getting ready now to get racing, so we're getting into that in the next few moments. SCT, they were on strong form as of late. Austria, only 1 point scored, so maybe their championship hopes disappearing with that. Same with IFE as well. LR down in 8th in the standings now out of all 9 teams. Pretty interesting to see. They're only 2 points behind IFE and AB Academy, so it's very, very close. And then they're not too far behind, only 7 points behind SCT in 5th. So that there's only 7 points behind. So they're only 7 points behind, 5th at the moment. So there's these 3-4 places they could gain simply by just scoring 7 more points. But what we'll have to see is we're now getting into qualifying, and it's going to be quite an interesting one here tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting to see who's got the pace round here. It's quite a tricky track to be fast at. Same as it was pronounced saying that word. But, yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, one thing that I'm interested to see from, I think, the drivers and the teams is how are they going to do their qualifying order? Do they want to sort of go with a bit of a slow attitude to it? At the moment, by the way, LR are missing a driver at the moment.
Yeah, he's adding me.
Okay. But we've only got 11 drivers. There will be 12, and then shortly joined by Timon, who will be 13, or JD Bergsma, as you might know him. So there will be 13 drivers. Yes, only 13 tonight. But it does mean that we have most of the teams racing. We should have 7 teams racing here tonight. We've only going to be having 6, I do believe. We've got 6 or 7 teams racing with 1 driver in 1. So we do have 2 more drivers to join, so please give some time there. Of course, the track, pretty important, but the 2 teams we need to look at most at the moment is, of course, the Alpines of POR and the Williams, the 2 Williams drivers of Geordie and the Blue Frog, and of course the Alpines of Bomboy and Obulf, who both, they're in this title battle, aren't they? First and second, 14 points divide them. And off the last race, ET might have come out with a 1-2, the only team to get back-to-back victories and a 1-2 this season out of any team. But they overall, POR had a really rough race last time round.
Yeah, I mean, the Blue Frog is the first driver to hit the track, just to mention, on the Inter, so he's not going to set a lap. Yeah, but it's a good title battle going to be happening here and tonight and the next 2 weeks, I believe it is. POR, a very fast team. They've proved themselves quite a lot, especially in their qualifying pace. They always seem to qualify at the top. I don't know why, but yeah.
I do agree with you there. I think POR have definitely had the edge in their almost, their qualifying form, I would say. They've had the edge in the qualifying form over ETE. Start of the season, I wouldn't say they did have it, but as the season, of course, has gone on, they definitely have had it since. I think there's that to add on to it. There's, of course, the qualifying form, but ETE, they're back with the same drivers they had last week, and if it's like, as we know with ETE, how they've been the last 2 races round, I wouldn't rule them out of getting a hat-trick of victories and potentially taking the championship lead away, especially after how much they closed in on. Like, last race, I was saying about during the entirety of the race and qualifying, I was saying about how ET were sort of out of the title chance as the Blue Frog has actually invalidated his lap. I think the next drive to cross the line is going to be Flame, actually. And I actually want to watch his lap now. And then I'll say what I was going to say after the lap. So heading up through the hill of turn 1 and 2. Got to get the corner right. Got to get the apex right. Very good. Now through to turn 3. Got to feed the car around the snail-like corner. Through turn 4 he goes. Quite interesting. There's 5 corners during the whole of Sector 1. And there is Sector 1 done. 23.620 is now the new time to beat. Let's see, how is Flame going to do as he makes his way round with some pace. Flame has been a strong contender last race. He missed out on that race victory. He missed out on bringing XPG fully into the title fight and potentially taking the lead of the constructors. So maybe some redemption for XPG is needed. Last season, they were, of course, in our one and only tier we had last season. I believe they finished 5th in the constructors or 6th. So they sort of came out on top of the midfield. Out of all the midfield teams, but here tonight, they've got to try and do it again, but this time in tier 2, and it's going to be a rough one, of course. They've got to gain a lot more points. They've got to gain quite a few more points than ETE do, because I believe they're 20 points behind in the championship, all around 18, so they've got to get at least a 2nd place margin over POR here tonight, which is quite difficult to do, as I think we both know.
Yeah, they've got to catch up by a few points, but I don't see POR dropping many points. That is also the thing. They're a very solid team, very consistent.
I do agree with you.
That is one thing that POR are very good at.
The one team that does need to have a bit of an improvement in their form is SET. They've gone a few races now. Both SET and IFE, they've gone a few races with some poor performances. Both teams, SCT last race round, only 1 point scored, their worst that they had in, I think, about 4 or 5 races. As Geordie, by the way, getting close, but still P2. But it's the same for IFE. They had a rough race last time round. They didn't get what they wanted to walk away with, and it's clearly showing that there is a gap, obviously, between the teams as it's showing now on the banker laps, about 2 seconds splitting first to fourth. But I think there's a lot to look at here tonight, especially that some of these teams that are like SET and IFE and XPG, they could really get in the way of the title fight going on between ET and POR. But we got to, I've seen a few people saying about that, but of course, XPG are also in that title fight, but of course ET don't want them to be, and of course POR don't want them to be. We will constantly talk about how XPG and sort of POR were the 2 favorites in the title to take it away. But since then, XPG's crept up on it a bit, but even then, even when they have crept up on the championship slowly, they've still lacking in some places, and the only thing I'm worried about is that they're lacking in almost track demeanor in the way that they should be racing versus how they currently are.
Two seconds. Epic, I'm currently inviting somebody.
Okay, that's fine. There's still so many people always asking for invites. Craziness. Ultimately, XPG on top at the moment with Flame Only 5 out of the 12 drivers, soon to be 13, have currently set a lap on the first run. It's quite interesting to see an 18 in so far, about the space of 7 minutes, just reaching 7 minutes in, and they've still only 5 drivers so far set a lap. Didn't expect to see that here today. A few drivers not happy with their laps. Bomboy especially has not been happy with his lap. He was actually not doing too bad in Sector 1. He actually went second fastest. Somebody has ultimately...
Emanuele is on a lap, I believe. Yeah, I'll take this one through. Now, on the longest straight of the track, probably one of the longest in the game, going into turn 14 and 15, a right-hander, then a left-hander. He's currently... Has he backed off? No, he has not. That is just me being a retarded. Got to get all that exit apex, and he goes to 130.6, and they're going to have to put in P2, 1/10 behind XPG Flame.
I'm just going to have to quickly invite somebody.
Yeah.
No, I'm inviting someone.
Oh,
Have I got Edu to begin with?
no. Actually, yeah, he raced a couple of weeks ago.
Maybe I'll have him.
Wait, he's already added you, actually. He's already added you.
Under what?
I don't know his name. I think it's Edo, like EDOW.
I can't find it. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
EA loving me at the moment.
I love EA. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the best ever.
If you want to just tell him that, just re-add me or add you.
I'll tell him to add me. I'll tell him to add me.
Yeah. Emmanuel, not a bad lap, very close to Flame, but remember, track evolution is obviously going to be giving a little helping hand to all of this. Ultimately, that's kind of, the way it is. Who is on a lap? Who's just coming up to the line? That isn't Silly, but that's Flame who's just starting a lap. We actually have Obulf who's on a lap still. Only one ETE driver. Neither of the POR drivers or one ETE driver has actually set a lap so far. So here comes Obulf up to the line. Only P4 slotting behind Geordie. That's not good. That's really not where he wants to be. Of course, it is just 3 points at the moment that, for instance, they would sacrifice. But it's still 3 points they don't want to be sacrificing into the final race next week. But that's currently where they are sitting with it, which isn't too good. Their only problem.
Wow. I don't know if he was on a lap.
JD Bergsmo is. He's pushing his way round. Flame hasn't improved, by the way. He actually, unless he's just started a lap. No, he is on his lap, actually. Let's have a look at him. 300's up, so he's... Obviously, Flame has clearly put in an all-right lap, but yet it still hasn't been... he's obviously put in a very good first lap, and so he's struggling to find a lot of time on his second run. So maybe Flame has put in the best he can do. So we're going to see up to the line he goes. He does find almost 0.3 per second. A 30.2 is where he goes to. A 30.272 is now set by him. And that's a very strong lap time from the Aston Martin, the XPG driver. Exactly what you've been looking for. But still, there's a lot to work on there.
I have to be honest with you. I don't know what good time is around this.
Quite close to where Flame is sitting at the moment in the lap time. That'd be quite strong. Currently versus the rest of the grid. But looking at it, when I look at this, it's not looking great for some drivers. Some drivers aren't having a good day at the moment. We're looking at lap times over 2 seconds behind provisional pole, which is very far behind. Did Geordie improve? No, Geordie went slower, by the way. Geordie is unable to improve on his lap. Saliba just went P5. So he's slotting in behind an ET and a POR. Bomboy's just starting his lap. Next drive to cross the line is the Blue Frog, my favourite man in this championship.
He just slightly went off track. He lost so much time.
We'll see what he does up to the line, because if it's still top 5, I'd be quite surprised by that, to be honest. On the curb again, the Blue Frog, he's been off in qualifying. He's always been behind his teammates in qualifying, by the way. He's only beaten his teammate, I believe, once in qualifying. And actually, he still goes P6 and rather close to P4. So he is still on the back of it, isn't he? He's still quite close. But the Blue Frog, I think we've seen from qualifying to races, the Blue Frog has always been stronger in his race pace. And I think that's something
Sorry to interrupt. Luke is 3/10 up on his lap before going to the final corner. Is it good enough to put him? He goes P4, just ahead of Obo Alf.
Some drivers getting into it a bit more. A few drivers getting into this qualifying session more and more. And also, we were talking about teams that might get in the way. I'm gonna have to talk about your team, LR, sadly, because this is gonna be a worrying thing, isn't it, for ETE and for POR? Is that for LR, especially Emmanuel at the moment, he's showing a lot of pace out there. He's showing a huge amount of pace at the moment, on the front row, and that's gonna really hurt ETE, because especially when you're 2 places in front, it would be nice as Bomboy. Oh, he did not have a good lap there. Quite far off his teammate, 3/10 off at the moment. Only P8. That's not where you want to be. You don't want to be behind both ETE drivers. That's a big problem to walk away from, because at the moment, by the way, if they were to finish like this, POR would score 14 points, and just with Geordie, they'd score 15. So at the moment, POR not looking in a good place. And Bomboy, he's really struggling with the car, isn't he? A bit on the brakes. He's sliding quite a bit. Looking at Emmanuel, he's up by 1/4 of a second, by the way. He's finding a huge chunk of time. We could be seeing him go into a 0.3, possibly a 0.2. Let's see whether LR can beat XPG to the pole position time. I believe they did last time. I can't remember exactly. Coming round to the final corner, let's see what Emmanuel can do. He's been on the back of Flame. He does! He goes fastest! Emmanuel goes 7 thousandths faster than Flame, and to a 1:30.265. That is incredibly close at the moment for that top spot. LR versus XPG maybe becoming a bit of a qualifying factor that we maybe got to work in during the races.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good lap. It's a good lap, but I reckon Flame has more time in him. He just always seems to find that extra bit of time there.
And Emmanuel's out. He can't do another lap. He won't have the time.
Yeah.
Which means although he did get clear track, which I do think might have helped him here, is that he did get a very clear track, an empty track actually. So I think at the moment for LR, I think that's the best they're going to do. I think it's going to be a P1 and P12 scenario, because JD Bergsman, of course, serving a qualifying ban because, of course, AB Academy did not submit a lineup. But P1 and P12, I mean, you still got to take that. Still, at the moment, to be honest, I don't see Emmanuel dropping below P2. I see him being on the front row because those two are so far ahead of Emmanuel and Flame. I think that's going to be the real difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being biased here, but if we only joined this competition a bit earlier, I reckon we could be in that title battle with the results we've been getting.
Possibly, but of course, last race was a bit of a step back for you guys, of course.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how XPG had a bit of a step back, but they still got a podium.
Yeah.
They still got, I think 5th out of it, so I think they still got 5th if I remember correctly. Poison Death doesn't improve. He does improve, but he's still going to stay 11th. Not the improvement you want to be seeing from him. Next driver to cross the line is actually Obuf. So let's watch him. He's actually going to be passing his teammate on his lap, while his teammate's on his out lap at the moment. They're cutting it a little bit close, aren't they? These 3 at the back. They're cutting it really close to not making it to the flag. We saw that. I've seen that in some other championships when we've seen drivers, be a bit too late to come out of the pits because, of course, they do take a while, the pit lane. Let's see, Obuf, he's actually down 46 thousandths in the first sector Not a good first sector to see from the POR driver. Let's see what he can do as he makes his way round into sector 2. As he swirls round, Emmanuel's done with his qualifying, of course. He wouldn't have had time to set another lap, nor would he really had the tyres either. That'd be completely ruining your race strategy, removing any fresh, soft tyres. Still, good lap from him, and those front two really on a level of their own at the moment. XPG, of course, really wanting to get back in the title fight here tonight. As now Obuth makes his way round. Let's see what he can do as he now heads down the back straight. He's going to be the first driver to cross the line on their final runs, except Emmanuel, of course, opening the rear wing with the DRS. Let's see what this man can do as he reaches the hairpin. We've seen some drivers struggle to the hairpin. The Alpine's looking pretty safe, I must say. It's looking very steady. Much better than last week. You know, that Alpine looked a little bit risky on the rear. And across the line, he goes third, but still quite far away from provisional pole.
Yeah, I'm currently watching ETE Geordie. It's like he's on a solid lap so far. He's getting a little bit of traffic there now. He loses the rear slightly.
And he's
now
done.
getting that slipstream from... Oh, he's done, is he?
Yeah, he's done. I think he's not happy. He's not going to be happy with the AI of JD Bergsma, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be quite unhappy. You can't blame the driver for that, though, because it was the AI that took over. Now only goes 2 tenths faster, stays P10. I think it's Flame coming up to the...
Flame. No,
it's not Flame, it's Saliba. Saliba, he's up 56 thousandths. That could actually promote him up a place. Let's see what he does around the final corner. Up the line he goes, stays 6th. We then got Luke up to the line next. He doesn't improve, so some disappointment there. The Blue Frog is next. He actually jumps his teammate and goes to P4, by the way, so nice improvement there. The next driver is Zoylant, who's coming up to the line next. Let's see what he can do when he crosses the line. He does improve. He stays P9, though close to getting P8. I think Bomboy's the next one coming up. He's improving a lot, actually, I must say. He's improving a lot. 3 tenths up at the moment. Could send him up to P6. Let's see as he crosses the line. He does go P6. Flame does improve, but only 1/100th of a second faster than Emmanuel. Yes, see, it's really coming down to the wire for pole position here. And for Flame, it's a last-ditch attempt, and it's a last-second pole. But what has he had to do to sacrifice? Has he had to sacrifice an extra set of tyres that maybe he didn't need to? We'll have to see. Maybe he's gone for quali pace for his setup. Who knows? But at the moment, off of where the drivers are, ETE imprisoned by 2 different POR drivers. The 2 POR drivers sitting on either side, above and below of both ETE drivers. They're kind of stuck in the middle. But let's do a rundown for qualifying. XPG Flame grabs pole position by just 1/100th of a second, followed by Emmanuel in second, really in a class of their own. Obuth is third with the Blue Frog 4th, Geordie in 5th, Bomboy in 6th, Luke in 7th, Saliba 8th, Zoylan in 9th, now in 10th, Poison Death in 11th, Ido in 12th, and JD Bergsma in 13th and last place for ABE Academy. The race is going to be interesting to see. Of course, we've shown you a track map. We've done all of that. But let's now get on to the race. I've just got to sort some things on Discord if you want to waffle.
For you. Who do you reckon is going to come out victorious on this race in China?
Based off of qualifying alone, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's gonna be purely. I think it's gonna be between Flame and Emmanuel, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we could say that, but I reckon the Blue Frog has got something in his back pocket.
Maybe.
I don't know why. He's got that race pace. And he's got that nice person stature. So...
So what's your idea of POR based off of the qualifying? They do surround, of course, the ET drivers. But realistically, they're looking slightly thin. Of course, you want to be in front, but the ET drivers, they've been stronger during the races. They showed that last race. Qualifying, they weren't as good as POR. Well, they were ahead of POR, but they still weren't perfect. But even the Blue Frog got past them in the end. So I think POR really have to put together a good race and a good strategy. Strategy let them down last race. They can't have that again here in China. And if they do, I think that could really be seeing their championship sort of fall out of their hands.
I mean, what I reckon POR needs is just to finish in between that top 6, 7 and try to just score points if they can't. Don't DNF, don't do nothing stupid. Save that for the last race. Keep it equal until the last race, and then we could have a good battle.
Yeah, I do agree. I think, of course, we want to wait till the final race and see it come down to the line, of course. But realistically, when you look at POR, their last 2-3 races have been a real sore point for them during the season. It's been their weak point. They've really struggled to keep up with some of the other teams. They've struggled against LR. They've struggled against ETE. They've really struggled against ETE. And they're getting some backlash now, aren't they, from other teams? They thought they were clear. They had a bigger lead. They were sort of ahead of XPG. They sort of thought they almost had it.
Yeah, I feel like they just got a bit too comfy in the position they were at, and that's led them to fall down a bit, and now they're in a more stressful situation than they have ever been before this race.
They were holding this championship really well before this race, and before the last sort of 3 races. I really thought at that point championship was fine, and we're actually getting going now. So we're going to see the lights turn on very shortly in the next few moments, as I can hear the little beep in the background. And now, here we go. We're going to see the lights. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in China for FRLT Tier 2 I believe it is. Let me get the round correct. It's round 10. And into turn 1, XPG Flame leads. It's a bad start from Emmanuel. Olbooth trying to go around the outside. He's trying to get that good start. The Blue Frog and Geordie are having a good start now. Also having a bad start for the back. But it is Flame that leads. And he leads very comfortably. Different tyre compounds being used up and down the field. I can see Emmanuel's gone for the hard tyres. He's gone for that different strategy. And that is exactly what you might see a difference later on in the race. But for now, we're going to see... Oh, there's been contact between the 2 SET drivers, I do believe that is. Both of them down at P12 and P13. It's been a horrible start for them to their race, and their campaign proves to just get worse after their high this season. There's some racing further back. Bomboy getting stuck behind the Haas of Luke. Is he going to try and send it into the next corner? He's unable to, but he's getting attacked by JD Bergsma. Down the inside goes JD Bergsma. You can see Bomboy is on those hard tires, and he's really struggling, and he's already down to P9. And this championship battle might start to get wrapped up already based off of lap 1. But you can see the ETE drivers racing side. Oh, that's a spin into, I believe that is Saliba. They're round. They've both gone round. And that leaves the Blue Frog down in P12, possibly with body damage. But what has gone on there? How has that happened? Saliba now down in 11th with wing damage. And this race is all changing. Geordie getting overtaken 3 wide, almost further back. Here comes Geordie down the inside of Bomboy. Bomboy really trying to make up some places now. It is hard ties for both Geordie and Bomboy. Into the final corner they go. They're going to go side by side. And now here they go through the corner, leaving no room. Oh, almost a spin. Just catching it from Bomboy in the final corner. We're heading down towards turn 1 and it is almost 3 wide once again as JD Bergsma has already made his way up to P4 as Geordie now drops down the order even more.
Yeah, it's been a good racing, and there's a 5-way battle going on right now for that P4 spot. The spot that is quite a good spot to be in. Of course, everybody wants to catch up to them. I feel like they should stop battling and catch up back to Oberwolf and Emmanuel. But the contact between the SET is just, it's a bit stupid. I don't know if it was them two that made the collision, but they are not doing the best in the stat. They are doing they're 5th, but they can catch up. So it's a bit of a stupid decision from them. But they're not last now, and Saliba got wing damage after a crash with the Blue Frog. But it was a good start from Flame, I have to say.
Yeah.
Flame pulled away very nicely from the start.
Yeah, very true. He's pulling away massively. But remember, he's on the medium tyres. He's on that sort of compound, which I would say, in my opinion, is probably sitting around maybe 8/10 a lap faster. By some of my telemetry, it says it's about 0.3 to half a second faster. So the mediums are a lot faster than the hards around this track, especially off at the start of the race. But Obuth, he's keeping up rather nice. He's not doing too badly, and there's more racing into the hairpin as Geordie now continues to race with JD Bergsma. Interesting to see that ETE, I don't think the championship's going to get wrapped up in this race. I don't think we're going to see any of the top three in the constructors really rule themselves out of the championship. So like you said, this might come down, and most likely, as I think we knew before, but most likely, no team's going to get knocked out. It's 3 wide. Through turn 2 they go. And it is JD Bergsma, Luke, and Geordie once again all back at it. But can I just say that... Oh, more contact! Into the wall! Into the wall goes Geordie! It is a virtual safety car. Front wings off for Luke. And, oh my God. This night of terror has started for ETE. They thought they had it in the qualifying, but it looks like their title might have just slipped through their fingers within 3 laps.
Oh, I mean, there is still a long, long way to go. And if the racing's going to be like this the whole way, a safety car would not surprise me.
Me neither, but how... I'm not sure how that collision even happened necessarily.
Just wheel banging and they clip the back tire, one of them.
It's odd. It's really weird. It's an odd one to happen, isn't it? You don't see that very often, especially with how far they went into the wall. But by the way, Luke has no damage.
But then there's E.T. Geordie, who's got no wing at all.
Yeah. It's quite odd, isn't it? I expected damage for Luke as well.
They both went into the wall, didn't they?
Yeah, it's quite odd. A bit of maybe a saving grace there. But I can tell you something. LR are having a day of dreams. P3 and P4 on for 27 points, the most out of any team as it currently stands. Would be a big day to walk away from because they'll jump a few teams in the constructors too. They could actually jump up to 4th, by the way. They could jump up to 4th at the moment. So that could be a massive... Luke is out.
Tired.
I think he might have body damage. That's most likely. He'd have floor damage or something.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Luke. I feel like he got the worst bit of that.
Yeah. Disappointing for IFE again this week. They're having some horrid races as of late. This last, this race, last race, and the race before. The last 3-4 races have really been horrid for IFE, especially the way that they came into the championship with some really good finishes. I believe they also have a victory on them this season as well. So, it's quite odd to see that, isn't it? Sort of the team that, it's almost a bit of a Red Bull thing, isn't it? Like we see in real life at the moment, when they entered the championship, they were quite good. They were really scoring big points. And since then, they've really struggled to hold on to it. And to be honest, if I'm being honest, I think the battle for the midfield now, for the best in the midfield has really gotten towards LR. And it's quite difficult to say, but probably LR and maybe, ever so maybe, AB Academy.
Yeah, I mean, LR, they've just gone up to P2, by the way. Edo, I have to say, gone from Edo and JD, from the back of the grid, now to P4 and P5. That is very impressive from them two drivers.
Very much. Emmanuel, though, now sitting 3.3 seconds behind XPG Flame. Flame really walking away with this race, but of course he hasn't gone for the longer strategy. He's gone for that short strategy that will go till about lap 10 or 12. So he's really has gone for the much shorter strategy compared to the hards that will last till about lap between 16 to 20. So they've got quite a large area compared to the mediums that are only lap 10 to lap 12. So the mediums don't really last long. Neither do the softs. The softs only last about 5 laps around this track, so it's very short for them. What's interesting to see, though, is that even though Flame is leading this race by a mile, XPG still won't take the lead of the constructors either way.
Because Saliba is not scoring points.
Yeah, because of that, and also because even if XPG take a victory here tonight, I still don't think their title hopes are exactly secured. Because, one, LR... they're sitting 2nd and 5th, but they're up there. They're sitting up there. POR also they're having a pretty decent night at the moment. P3 and P6, they're on for 23 points, which is only 2 less points than XPG. So realistically, XPG will only gain 2 points out of this race at the moment. So for XPG, their title hopes aren't really sitting there. And if, of course, Obu finishes second, their title hopes are completely sort of out the window because they'll still lose 1 point out of it for XPG. So for them, they'll be a bit disappointed that even on one of their best days, they still can't seem to gain points. For ET, though, I'm afraid to say I think we might see the end of their title fight happen here.
I feel like it's gonna be between XPG and POR now. I don't know why, but
I think
that
it's at the
DNF
moment.
ET.
Yeah, I think ETE at the moment, P8 and P11. I think the best that Geordie could get is maybe P10 or P9. Later on in the race, the Blue Frog. I mean, both of them have had to come into pit, haven't they? So, actually, no, I don't think the Blue Frog has.
No, the Blue Frog got damaged, I think.
And the Blue Frog's up into
Ferrari's
7th.
round. And the Ferrari was round. Poison death.
I think he's just had a spin. Again,
not
the SCT is having another spin.
Yeah, he just spun by himself.
But yeah, Blue Frog now up to 7th, up to 6 points. This might hold them still in the title fight. This just might, but I don't think it will. I think they'd have to have a maximum point scoring, like they did in Austria, a 1-2 finish for them to win the title. But to be honest, we're looking at it, and Flame has really come out as the top contender in the last 2 races as an individual driver.
Flame is just a very fast driver. He's proved himself in many comps.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the thing at the moment is that Flame has that pace advantage, and XPG are pulling out all the stops they can to win this Tier 2 title. But remember, even if they win the Tier 2 title, doesn't mean they go up to Tier 1. Because next season, there's some changes to the rules, if you have seen or haven't seen. Tier 1 is going to be main team, and Tier 2 is going to be an academy. XPG have signed up for that, for both tiers. But what I'm afraid for is that XPG next season won't XPG are using their main team drivers, by the way, in this.
For this?
Yeah. They're using Flame, who is, I think, part of their main team. So, and he's one of the strongest drivers on Xbox. And so, when you look at it, XPG really are pulling out all the stops to win the title. Yet, some other teams, for instance, ET, they're using their academy, by the way.
Same with us.
Yeah, so exactly the same, like you said, with LR. So, maybe they're going to have some problems when they do reach Tier 1 with main team or Tier 2 with their academy next season, is that they might not find themselves battling for wins or really getting many points altogether.
It will be interesting to see because some teams can just improve in an instant. Like they just get 2 fast drivers in and then they race the whole season and then they just magic happens. But it'll be interesting to see. You can't because Flame he drives I think he is an academy, I believe. In his bio it says academy. So they have some fast drivers as well. SCT Martin being one of them.
I think this is exactly the thing when you're looking at their team. A move for P4, by the way, as JD Bergsman returns to P4. Those mediums starting to go off as Poison Death gets the first penalty of the night. I must say, quite interesting to see that we've made it 8 laps without a driver getting a penalty. Zoyland as well, both getting penalties. But yeah, like I said, I think this is going to be an interesting one to see. Is that next season, of course, with some of the rule changes we're having and some of that, maybe we won't see a so much dominant version of XPG. Maybe we won't. Because, by the way, at the moment, this isn't confirmed, but with the rate of sign-ups we're having, we might be having 3 tiers of the main championship. So, whoa, almost losing it for JD Bergsma there. Almost losing it.
I was watching Obo out there. He nearly lost it.
We're getting a bit... Tyre's getting a little bit slidey now. I can still see him sliding. He's still sliding through the final corner, which is quite interesting to see that the mediums are holding on a little bit better for grip than the hards now. It's quite interesting. Maybe it's their drop-off period. Maybe it is the hards drop-off period, because we saw it with the mediums a few laps ago that the mediums started to struggle. By the way, that lead is reducing for Flame.
Is it really?
Yeah, because remember, it was 4.2. It's now 3.5.
Oh,
so Flame's struggling the last few laps. He is his lead is getting reduced quite a bit. He's lost. We've already seen him in the last sort of half a lap. His lead's gotten reduced by about half a second. So he's really losing the lead at the moment. Look at that, 3.1. It's really coming down. Flame is really struggling on his tyres now. Let's have a look at everybody's tyres while we're at it. Mediums for the race leader, hards for both of these two in second and third. So the hard tyres are coming in faster, I think, now. Mediums, hards, medium, hard. So you see, very interesting to see there. Two drivers in the pits now. Zoylan, he's decided to retire. Ooh. Very disappointing. SET, when is their bad luck as of recent going to end? They've only got one more race to turn it around, but you know their luck's gone from sort of mediocre, you know, sort of pretty standard to really bad as of late. As a mistake from Emmanuel comes out now, a big mistake, and that allows Obulf to move back up into P2. But remember, you're going to see Emmanuel. He's going to get DRS down the back straights, and that's an important moment there.
That straight is too long.
Fair enough. I think we all see that. I think half the lap time comes just from that straight. Overall, I would have to say though, I think ECE, they're P7 and P8 now. So maybe, I'm just gonna say maybe here. Don't rule them out. Maybe don't rule them out just yet. As we can see some battling over P2 going on side by side, still into the final corner. They're still going side by side. Tire banging, even going off track. It's the man of Obulf then getting a little bit angry with each other, maybe. They're getting a little bit uncomfortable being near each other. And a bit of bumping is going on here. Lap 10 out of 28. We're just over a third into the race, basically. So, not going too bad, is it?
No, I mean, Emmanuel and Obo have been racing this whole race, to be honest. JD Bergsma has dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah, he's just made a mistake. He's had a bit of a half spin, I think, and he's now down to 6th.
He was just behind Dean, though, a second ago. That's why I mentioned it.
But that has allowed the Blue Frog to catch up quite a bit, because he's closed up by about 4 seconds. So he's closed
Flame
up.
has opened up his lead again.
I think a few mistakes came from Emmanuel and Obulf. Like when Emmanuel went wide and had his moment, they lost about 4 tenths from that. So maybe the tyres just drop off for a little bit. Maybe the hards are now. Who knows? Maybe Flame's pushing a bit more.
It'll be interesting to see when these medium runners.
Yeah, for me, my telemetry says it's going to be about lap 10 to lap 12, maybe lap 13 at latest. So the mediums don't have a huge lot longer to go. But the hards have to go till lap 16 to lap 20.
I feel like we're going on the mediums from the start. Is the better strategy?
Maybe it is, because Flame is still pulling out his lead at the moment, and it is lap 11. Oh! Big moment into turn 1 between Obufim and Emmanuel. Holy, almost turned into another front wing escaping a car. That was... Whoa, that's something for the highlight reel. That is something for the highlight reel, I can't lie.
You screamed so loud that the mic got out, mate.
Holy. Let's see. Discord does that, though. OBS doesn't.
Yeah. Discord is too.
Yeah. Discord's quite odd. I don't get why they cut it out. It's quite an odd thing to have. Emmanuel now, by the way, outside of DRS of Obulf. So some disappointment there for LR. Maybe their front row chance maybe disappearing. Emmanuel, though, I just want to speak about this Red Bull. He's had a good race. Yet, he's... Yes, he hasn't at the same time. I think you get what I mean slightly. You know, he's kind of... He's sat in this position where he hasn't been gaining on Flame, but he hasn't been getting away from Obulf, nor has he been able to catch. At the moment, he's struggling to catch Obulf either. So, I think we've got to sort of take into account maybe there's some struggles going on within... You know, on those hard tyres for a lot of drivers. As Flame does come in now, so he does come in on lap 11. He's now done on those medium tyres. Let's see where he comes out. Edo as well, and
All the
JD
medium
Bergsman.
runners, all the medium runners are in, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to see where they're going to drop down to, actually. Where's Flame going to drop down to? He's going to drop behind the Blue Frog. So this might actually be a problem for him, because he's going to drop a few seconds behind the Blue Frog. And then if he does catch up to the Blue Frog, he might get stuck behind him for quite a while, allowing Obuth and Emmanuel to run away with it, maybe, and catch up.
Yeah, maybe. But now, as you can see, it's all the hard runners in front. But yet, they still have to pit. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I can't tell you which strategy is the better one at the moment. We're just going to have to wait and see until the end of the race. E.T., Geordie and JD having a battle right now for P. JD on brand new hard. And there's contact. Wheel bang in there. Not a lot, just slightly pushing JD off of the track, E.T. Geordie does. But I think that is the battle over.
Very much, I do agree with you there. I think it is. Quiet night, though, I must say. It's been a rather quiet night here in Tier 2. And Geordie lets him back past. I think that's because he pushed him off track, I think.
Yeah.
Bit of a quiet night, hasn't it? It's definitely been a quiet night here in Tier 2. Except for the small bits of action. Been quiet for the last sort of 5-6 laps, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had an incident at a lap 6, I think it was, lap 5, lap 6, between Luke and Geordie, or Blue Frog, I'm not sure which one. But now the McLaren and the Williams going side by side yet again. No contact this time. Oh, the McLaren. Contact. Oh, Jesus. And they both got off track there.
Yeah, that... JD, he's getting a little bit too excited there, I think. He's getting a little bit too confident with his moves because he almost completely smashed another car off track.
Yeah, that was quite close, to be honest.
Yeah, quite dangerous, I must say, from the AV driver. He's got to sort that out a little bit. I have to say, though, at the moment, my favourite to win is going to be Flame. He's my favourite to win. Because
I totally have to agree.
Yeah, he's got that lead. He's gone to the hard tyres, so we'll have to see what the others do. He's already catching up to the Blue Frog, by the way, and it's only been 2 laps. 2 laps and he's already caught up to the Blue Frog. He's about 2 seconds a lap faster than the Blue Frog, by the way, in the last few laps. So he's been a lot faster. And Emmanuel and Obuth are still fighting each other and racing. Here he comes on the Blue Frog. Easy overtake with DRS, and up into P4 he goes.
All Flame needs now is an incident to happen, and then
yeah,
he might be happy, he might not. It depends. Flame, fastest up of the race on hards. How impressive!
yeah.
JD and Geordie still battling, by the way.
Yeah, they are. I still can't believe that they are still battling for this. Especially because it's P7. The amount that they're I know that for ETE, if they get P5 and P7, they're still in the title fight. Jesus. Oh my God.
Oh no. This is exciting. This is like the battle yesterday between Geekin.
Holy.
I'm getting flashbacks.
Oh, me too. I've looked at the incident reports. Holy. Interesting racing from JD Bergsman and Geordie. But for Geordie, of course, they're on a big mission, aren't they? They're on a huge mission tonight. They need to get these 16 points to hold them in the title fight. Because if they get these 16 points, they will still be close enough to win the title, by the way.
But by doing this, I'm risking a DNF. How much JD is battling for that position? Everybody would think XPG have paid him.
Maybe. One thing I do want to look at, Emmanuel is coming into the pits. He's into the pits now.
The first hard runner to pit.
Yep. lap 15, around when I said it was, lap 15, lap 16, they'd be looking at to come into the pits. By the way,
it was
VMV,
side again.
why VMV didn't race was because they didn't see that the races were brought forward by a week.
McLaren's gone off track again. They're going to end up
Yeah.
getting a penalty.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of this, I think.
Yeah.
These two aren't very happy with each other, I must say. They're definitely not very happy with each other. They're definitely... Because I think there's a slight difference. AB Academy are fighting to stay ahead of LR and the rest of them.
Look at that contact, man. There's going to be some penalties handed out, surely.
Oh, yeah, there will be. There will be. I'm just watching this now. I'm watching this. Yeah, like I said, you know, but for Geordie, this is a more important position. He needs to get these 16 points. He needs to get the 6 points, and then the Blue Frog finishes 4th, and he needs him to stay in 4th or 5th and get those extra 10 points and bring home 16 points at the end of the day. You know, they need to bring home these 16 points, or by the way, they lose out on the title.
So they need 16 points minimum.
Yeah, so essentially, I believe it's as long as they keep up, because at the moment, because they're a few points ahead of XPG, they come out roughly. Oh, and a bit of a moment for JD Bergsma as he goes off, and that allows Geordie back through.
There we go.
Obuth now coming in to the pits, and so is the Blue Frog. He's also on his way into the pits.
Flame is going to end up going back into that lead, even without Bomboy.
By a mile. He's going to be in the lead by a mile.
Yeah, I agree.
Because look at that. Still, Obuth still not out of the pits. Emmanuel jumps him by quite a bit as well. At the same time. I must say, it is interesting, though. You can't lie. It is quite an interesting position these drivers are in. At the moment, as you can see, Geordie comes in again. Ultimately, Blue Frog comes out in 6th, which is 8 points. But they need to get... So at the moment, when I look at the championship, if I double-check the championship... If I double-check the championship quick... double-checking with the championship, currently there's a gap of 14 points between 1st and 2nd, right? Now, PR are going to completely outscore them. Let's be honest. They're going to completely get outscored here tonight. But back to XPG, there's just 3 points. And XPG are probably going to score about 9 points more. 9 to 10 points more. So at the moment, XPG might only be maybe 7, maybe 9 points ahead. So I think because there's going to be that sort of gap, POR might have wrapped up the title battle with ETE as Flame dives down the inside to take the lead of the race here tonight. Not too difficult, was it? It's not a very difficult move.
He's probably not going to lose the lead.
No, I don't think he will. I don't think we're going to see much more. He's way off in the lead. He's like 10 seconds off in the lead. He's okay. He's really come out well from that early pit stop, though, I must say. But he is on the hard tyres. So remember, Emmanuel is on those mediums, and he will be catching. He will try to be catching. His fastest lap actually comes from Emmanuel just now. So he's actually, by the way, that last lap was 0.6 of a second faster than Flame's previous lap. So he found a lot of time over Flame. So I think we might see the gap starts to drop down. But compared to before, it was about sitting, 4-5 seconds? Now it's doubled. So it's a much larger gap at the moment. But yeah, so I think, sadly, for ETE, they might see themselves... I don't think they'll see themselves out of the championship, but I don't think POR will see them as a rival anymore. Because...
No.
I think POR's coming out with the biggest points haul tonight, by the way. They're coming out with the biggest points haul. They're coming out with 25 points equal to XPG. So XPG's not going to close in. They're going to stay at their 17 points behind.
SPG are hoping for POR to drop back quite a bit.
Yeah, Edo, 3-second time penalty.
Edo is at 3 seconds, which is probably him not going to be passing Flame. Well, on track maybe, but not.
But by the way, Emmanuel's really starting to catch. Caught another sort of 7/10 so far. He's catching a decent amount, by the way. If he keeps that, we saw the mediums going for quite a while, lasting at that sort of pace. So maybe has Flame gone for that early strategy on mediums, gained that time in the pit stops, but now look at that. In one exit, he lost about 1/10 of a second. You know, he's losing quite a bit of time in his lap. He's lost about 7.5 tenths.
Haas has lost it. Wait, has he? Yeah. He stopped on that. Yeah, he did.
Interesting, though, isn't it? You know, to see this very different, you know, kind of
Yeah.
a bit of a swap around of positions, isn't it? You know, seeing now Emmanuel catching up, he's gonna close that below below 9 seconds probably this lap. The only hope Emmanuel could have is that Flame makes a mistake, and he loses
Or
maybe
if they
2
just take
seconds.
the car.
Yeah, like if he makes a mistake and he loses like 2 seconds, that could be very big for Emmanuel here tonight. But you can see he's still closing in. And through this middle sector, I must say, he's closing quite a lot through the middle sector, especially. So,
Yeah, he seems pretty fast around that middle sector, but it's the last and first sector which he's losing like a tenth, right, or just on the exits alone.
yeah, Flame isn't losing a lot through sector 3. Oh, bit of a moment there for Emmanuel. He's lost about another tenth and a half because of that. So he's actually not gaining a huge amount. But again, off of the exit, look at that. Out of the long right-hander, he actually gains about 0.3 of a second just through there alone. So really, that LR car is gaining, about half a second a lap, which could be enough. It could be enough, but he's gonna have to gain maybe about 0.9 of a second to actually win.
Yeah, he needs to gain around, we'll say, 8-9 tenths a lap if he wants to win this race.
And he's gained just half a second on the last lap alone. Compared to the previous lap where he did gain 0.8, where we sort of need, where, LR and Hill want to be. But he is gaining. We have to give him that. He is gaining big chunks of time. So,
yeah.
But remember at the end of that hard stint, at the end of the medium stint, the mediums actually started to stretch out the gap more and more. The mediums started to go sort of 0.2 faster when the hards were struggling. So, just purely when they were all close, together. But I have to say,
everybody's now on their own route. That is one thing that has happened.
Oboof, though, catching, by the way, he's catching Emmanuel at quite a fast rate. He's actually gained 0.3 from the last lap, so he's on his own mission to catch up to Emmanuel. But Oboof's middle sector was a bit weak. He seems to be losing about tenth and a half through there alone. So it might come down to that middle sector. But overall, Emmanuel's losing about 2-3 tenths a lap to Oboof, and that's a lot of time to be lost to somebody on the same set of tyres. But by the way, not a lot gained this lap from this lap, only a tenth so far. So he's really struggled on this lap.
Yeah, he's just, I hate to say this about my own driver, but he's not very consistent with it. Yeah. I don't know whether that's lack of practice or
0.8, then half a second, and now only a tenth. Sort of tenth and a half, maybe 2 tenths, even by the end of the final corner. You see there 2 tenths, 2.5 tenths. That's not enough. It's halving at this rate. It's getting half and half each lap.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's going to be quite interesting to see as these guys go round. I don't know really what to say to Emmanuel. He's had actually a really good first sector, by the way. He's had an incredibly strong first sector. Maybe Flame has made his first mistake on these set of tyres, because he's just lost about 0.3 of a second in the first sector alone. So he is struggling a bit now. We can see it again through these fast corners. Look at that. It's coming down by tenths at the moment. He's struggling a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's now gained what? We'll say 8
near
tenths?
on a second. He's gaining near on a second now.
But now he's dropped down.
But look at off the exit, though. Look at off the exit. He's going to gain that time back. He's gained about 0.9 of a second
he's
now.
He's fast down the straights. That is one thing where he is fast.
Yeah, but he's not gaining a lot, though. Flame's not gaining a lot. But still 0.9 of a second closer. It's a big chunk. Sort of what he needs. But he needs to now do that lap on lap now. He needs to be doing that second lap. And that's close enough, 0.9 sort of a second, where he's sitting, by the way. That gained just a second on this last lap, which is really odd because the 2 previous laps put together wasn't even enough.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah, but Oboof, though, I've got to put my hands up and say that Oboof is also being quite far. Oh, big mistake from Flame. 6.4.
Ooh.
He's just lost another second.
That's helped Emmanuel quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, now down to 6.3. The gap is absolutely getting shrunk. I think Flame is struggling. Oh, what's going on?
5.1. Oh, it's happy his tyres. Emmanuel's tyres are getting better. That's what we
Maybe.
saw before.
But it's 5 seconds now. He's just dropped 2.5 seconds in 2.3 seconds in a single lap. That isn't just like, you know when we said last lap he lost 9/10 or like a second. It was like, okay, that's a big chunk. But tyres, he's just lost. He's still losing a lot of time. What is going on with Flame? He's really struggling. He's having to go like 5th gear.
Oh no.
4.8 seconds now is the gap between first and second. That's halved in a single lap.
Yeah. Oh, another mistake. Oh, a huge snap there.
Flame is really struggling. Look at this, 4.3. It is just coming down so quickly. 4.1. Has Flame just possibly bottled the win?
I'm struggling to figure out what's actually happening.
Yeah, because look at this. Let's ride on board with Flame for a bit. Let's see what is going on. Let's see whether he makes a mistake. No mistake there. He's really having to be careful, isn't he? He's really having to be careful on the throttle. He's really struggling.
Yeah, I don't know why though.
He's really slow on the throttle, isn't he? He's not really pushing the car that much, but a man... Whoa! Okay, I can see why. He's just almost lost the rear completely. And look at this. Yeah, Flame.
Oh! This is close, this.
He's losing He's really struggling. He's got the ERS, but he's just lost another about 7-8 tenths in a single sector again. Obuth, by the way. Holy Jesus, look at Obuth.
Oh, yeah.
He's closing in on Emmanuel, who's having amazing pace too. So maybe Obuth could come out on top. But look at this. He's within distance. He's in striking distance now. 3.1 seconds. We were talking earlier
about... They should not battle. That is my honest opinion.
Yeah, this could be a three-way fight for the win. And if I'm being honest, if POR win and Flame finishes third, I could really see POR walking away with the title here tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree with you.
Because remember, they got Bomboy in 5th as well. So, that could be 35 points. And possibly Flame, at the moment, I would say is only going to walk away with 15. So, they're looking at a massive 20-point loss in the championship on top of their 17 points. That's a really big loss.
That gap has gone from 9 seconds to 2 in 7 laps? 6, 7 laps?
4, 5 laps actually. It's really coming down. 2.4, another mistake. Look at that. Another bit of a mistake from Emmanuel at the same time though. But Flame just is not having a good day at all. Do you think XPG might have just bottled their strategy and might have just lost out their chance of winning this race here tonight?
And even the championship, possibly.
Maybe.
They were still in the contention for that.
XPG only on for 27. POR are on for 25 at the moment. But Emmanuel is taking those chunks out of him. And let's be honest, if it's not Emmanuel who gets past Flame, it will be probably Obuth.
Yeah, it's now 2. That's gonna go down to 1.9 in the next couple of laps. In the next lap, probably.
I think they're saving up ERS. I think Emmanuel's also saving up ERS as well. So I think that's why he's not gained as much this lap. But look at that. Came down quite a bit. Came down by about another 10th there. Flame's running low on... Oh, a bit of a snap. Bit of a snap there for Emmanuel. Not what he's going to be wanting. Maybe he's pushing the car a little bit too much now. He's getting a little bit hungry for time. He's still got 5 whole laps to go, remember. So he's still got a good chunk of time until his race, until the race is over. So he doesn't really have to rush anything, but he's struggling a bit. He's actually struggled. He's lost some time. He's lost about 2 tenths. It's first sector. Look at Obuth. He's sitting there, and I think he knows that he's now faster.
Flame is still having the same
2 seconds to 1.6. Look at this.
Oh, it's now down to 7 tenths.
Massive mistakes from Flame. His race, we were saying that they might catch up, that we thought they would catch up, but now they've most certainly caught up to him. And this could be Flame's win, all gone. A 10-second lead reduced to half a second.
Or he could just be making the race interesting.
Maybe. Yeah, he's doing it for our entertainment. Of course he's doing it for our entertainment.
What a nice guy.
But yeah, really nice guy. But I really think XPG might have just bottled their championship. Because look at this. Emmanuel's now got DRS. He's got everything on Flame. Look at this.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for it there.
Yeah, I got really scared. But look at this. Flame is not having the nicest of days. Neither is Emmanuel. He's struggling a bit on his tyres. But Flame is... I think Flame's race win is maybe out the window. And this is now a three-way battle for a win.
Yeah. I agree with you. Flame has just lost so much time in so little time.
Yeah, in 7 laps, he's lost about 9.5 seconds. Yeah. He's lost so much time, and I don't know how you can lose so much time. I've never seen this before. And
it's not like he's got old tyres.
I've never seen this before. In FRLT, in Tier 1, Tier 2, ever. I've never seen a driver lose this much time from a lead without, for instance, spinning or crashing, but he hasn't. He's just had a terrible car under him, since he changed those hard tyres, and since in the last 5, 6, 7 laps, he's just had an awful car under him, very much like the Aston Martin is in real life, but it's not working for him at the moment, and he might be getting his form back together a bit now, but the DRS is just hurting him ultimately in the end. And Emmanuel's struggling a bit on his tyres. I think it's dirty air, but I think it's also just he's struggling on his tyres a bit. But the chase and the race win could still be on here.
Yeah, Flame was not struggling before on their medium compound tyres. I feel like them pods just aren't treating him as well as they've treated Obo and everybody else that have been on the hard.
By the way, Obo has over 80% battery. The two in front don't have anywhere close to that. One's sitting below 10%, the other's about 20%. But look at this, they're both below 10%. Into turn 1 they go. Is Emmanuel, he's going to go up the inside. No,
he's not.
That was odd. That was quite an odd sort of... I thought he would have gone through with it there, to be honest. That was really what I was looking at.
He knows how Flame races.
Oh, maybe. But still, even then, Flame, we were saying earlier on, when he was out on the hards, he had won. You even said that. He had basically won. But now, he is holding up a good defense with 3 laps to go, but...
I don't think he can hold on to it.
I don't think he will, because Emmanuel's had, 2-3... he's had sort of 2-3 rough laps now where he's made a few mistakes, but this lap, he's made no mistakes, and he's been all over the back. And a lot closer to the Aston Martin this lap. He's just got to get this 2 corners right. But he doesn't. He makes another mistake into this section. He's really struggling. JD Bergsma's out. He's retired. He's left the session. He's done. And that leaves no points for AV Academy. Rather disappointing. But here we go again with the DRS. They moved the DRS later in the lap, which I do think has really ruined overtaking. I do believe that. But here comes... Emmanuel, he's going to go down the inside. He does go for it. Now he goes for it down the inside. He's not giving Flame tons of room. He's battling for it. But again, the rear's getting away from the Red Bull.
Yeah, just it's like little snaps all the time through them final corners.
But here comes Oboof. He's like, you can't do it, so I'm going to do it now. And so he makes the move. We haven't seen a move in a few laps. But we do know Oboof has been faster the last 3, 4, 5 laps. He's definitely been a lot faster than Emmanuel.
From behind.
Yeah, and let's see what he's going to do, though. He's going for it. He's done. He doesn't want to wait. But here comes Emmanuel. Manuel with a massive dive bomb. He leads them both wide. Oboof leads. What an absolute double overtake. What a move from Oboof. And some amazing vision there. But Emmanuel might be getting a penalty against him because of that move. But at the moment, POR, I think, might have just wrapped up the title.
Yeah, I mean, that helps Oboof massively with that. Flame is going to be fuming.
Yeah, Flame.
Flame will be livid.
And to be honest, I could see a penalty coming his way though. I could definitely see a penalty coming Emmanuel's way.
I didn't see the incident, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw it. He kind of he dived down two people, and believer he made contact with Flame, unless Flame took avoiding action. But we'll have to see in the reports. But either way, I don't think Flame's gonna win.
Emmanuel
and I think
goes down the inside, he gets that move done quite nicely. And Flame is also going to be looking to get the move done, but he can't. I mean, Emmanuel's now on top. Going into the final lap of this race, there's a three-way battle still going on between Emmanuel, Oboth, and Flame. XPG, POR, and LR Esports. POR and XPG, of course, being in the title battle.
Yeah, and look at Flame. He's down the inside. He wants to keep that title battle going on. Will Flame leave enough room? He is going to leave enough room. He's going to leave very little amounts of room, but it is still enough room. But in the end, I think Flame has really saved his battery, and I think he's using it now. But he's now run out of battery. And look at Oboth. He's got like 90% battery. This man's he's completely saved up. Same as Flame. Look at Emmanuel. He's letting Flame by. He wants to get oh, too wide. They're going too wide. They're still going for it. And are they going to do the same through the next few corners? No, they're not. And ultimately, Oboth coming out at the bottom of that group, but he's saving up ERS. He's got 100%. Same as Flame. Emmanuel's now saving.
He's waiting for that long straight. He's waiting for that long.
But Emmanuel's done it again. He's gone a bit too deep, hasn't he? He keeps doing this every few laps. He goes a bit too deep into... I think he might have just...
Is it going to be a photo finish down to the finish line?
Let's see. All the ERS being used. Everything is being used on that Red Bull. He's closing. Don't go for the outside line. Go for the inside line. He goes for it. He locks up. He goes deep. Has this allowed Oboth? Is he going to get both? He will get Flame. At least at the end of the day, he'll get Flame. Oh! Flame's round! Off of the final corner. Emmanuel wins. Oboth second. Just 95 thousandths. Flame is third. Bomboy will finish fourth. And fifth place will be Edo at the end of the day. ETE Payne in sixth and seventh. But it will be a great day for POR. And if I'm correct, they might have just won the title. If I'm correct.
You'll have to do the mathematics.
Yes. Because the closest team to score points was ultimately XPG. And they were
What's the max points you can score in a session?
44 with fastest lap.
I feel like they have not won it yet.
Maybe not. I'm double checking that now because I want to know. So essentially there's a 17-point gap. So ETE got 8, 6. So they got 14. So I think they're out of the title race. Because POR got 18 and 12. So they got 28. So yeah, I think it's 28. Sorry, 30. They got 30. So I think ET essentially out of the title race because they're over 30 points behind. Because they're going to finish 30 points behind. XPG scored 15. So that's going to be 30. So the title race isn't finished up just yet. It isn't finished up. By the way, both teams of XPG and ETE both sit 30 points behind now.
So, now that the race is finished, who is your driver of the day here in China?
Ooh, that's gonna be that's a difficult one. But to be honest, if I'm being honest, it's gotta be Oboth.
I agree. I
think his drive was just consistent.
He waited for them last laps to attack. Very smart drive from him.
And possibly on for a win, by the way. On for a win.
It'll be interesting to see if anybody reports that last incident between Oboth and XPG.
Yeah, I think Oboth was stuck to the outside line. There wasn't many places where he could go, really. Of course, there doesn't seem to be many places. But let's go through the order. Emmanuel wins, followed by Oboth, XPG Flame, Bomboy, Edo, The Blue Frog, Geordie, Saliba, Nout, Poison Death, and our retirements being JD Bogsma, Zoylant, and Luke. And somehow I did that in just about 12 seconds, so I'm not too disappointed with that. Ultimately, it's been an interesting night, bit of a quieter night. Of course, we had basically 1.5 teams missing, as we had VMV missing here tonight and 1 ABE driver. So we were short of 3 drivers tonight, which I think would have made it possibly more interesting, of course. It always does with more drivers. Ultimately, it is the end of the stream, sadly. It is that time. But let's have a look at the calendar before we go, if my button wants to work. Ultimately, next week we go to Spain. Don't mind the dates. Most of them are right. It's just the final 2 that are incorrect. Ultimately, Spain will be the finale next week. Make sure to join us next week on the 11th, because we will be back. I think it will be me, and hopefully you too, TJ. It'll be very nice.
Hopefully me, I'll be
hopefully.
Watching to see who wins this championship.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Ultimately, thank you to all of the drivers and managers that do make it possible, because if we didn't have any of them, well, we wouldn't have any racing. Also, thank you to the moderators and commentators like you, TJ. Thank you for joining me as well.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody, because I couldn't run this on my own. Generally, I'd be terrible.
Let's not forget to thank Epic for making all of this possible. The man who does everything around here, pretty much. Does the comms, does the stand-ins, does the stewarding. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Ultimately, finally looking at, of course, that. Please think about leaving a like, subscribing, also clicking on the notification bell to know about all of our content. Because if you don't, I will know and I will find you. I'm kidding. Ultimately, I should be seeing you guys on Sunday, unless it's a break week in Falls. I'll have to double check. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter. The link is down below. And make sure to follow us within the next few minutes, because there's some big news coming out. But ultimately, thank you so much. And I hope you guys all have a great week, great day, great evening. That is all. Any final words, TJ?
We will see you on Sunday.
Okay, goodbye. And Sundays, but here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights.
Humans, what have you learned?